Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Thunderstock Show. It's a collection of valuable brainstorms to enhance your life, liberty, and pursuit of property. Today's special guest is none other than Ty Boyer. Ty, well, other than being almost a 2-decade-long friend of mine, is the head coach of a many iteration of a wrestling program in what I like to call the Dagestan of the United States, Pennsylvania wrestling. Ty is a husband of a small business owner. He is a lifelong wrestler and now coach. He's a remarkably achieved individual athlete and a Christian and a father. Can't wait to dive into all the things that are going on with Ty's life. Thanks for making it to the show, Ty. First of all, I have to ask you, what's new with wrestling in PA today?
Man, what's new with wrestling in PA today? Man, I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to coach, man. It's great. New news in PA today, Trent Heidley, right? That's new news. World champ.
Where do you go to school, Trent?
Mifflin County.
You're kidding.
Yeah, Mifflin County.
Honestly, as a fan of PA wrestling, I didn't know if he grew up in Mifflin County. So he went to the same school as he was a world champ.
Yeah, so Trent Heidley, he grew up in, I would say, the Lewistown, Burnham area. I'm not sure where he exactly lived, but yeah, man, he Mifflin County High School grad and then NC State, multiple accomplishments and won a world title a few days ago. So that's probably the biggest news in wrestling today. And it's awesome. Not a lot of people can say, right? So, where I went to high school, Indian Valley. So Indian Valley, Lewistown combined and made Mifflin County. I think they combined in 2013. My sister was actually one of the first graduating classes from Mifflin County. But yeah, man, world champ, Trent Heidley. So that's definitely
something that I know about you that we've discussed that is insane to me is you told me that 3 or 4 state qualifiers every year, you could be, a top guy in the state and still be on JV in your school.
Yeah.
What was it like from a culture perspective of being such a competitive? Because everyone listening, wrestling is my first love. Before I got into podcasting and marketing and everything else, I got 100% into wrestling. Ty was one of my teammates, his partners, for weight class. I was JV. He was starting college. It is what it is. We're good buddies. And the point is that where we grew up is the most NCAA Division One across the board, like champions, qualifiers, like Pennsylvania, without a doubt, is the best state for wrestling in the United States. And the United States is arguably, now there's Japan and there's the Caucasus Mountains in Russia, the best area of wrestling in the world. Someone that went to your high school was a world champion. So what was it like culturally, like growing up in wrestling? I know you, but for those that don't know you, what age did you start? How did you get started? What was it like in the early days?
Man, how did I get started? I remember like it was yesterday. My mom actually took my first practice ever was with Ken Shurto. I think I was 5 years old. She took me over to State College, and I did not want to go at all. She took me there and you know drug me there pretty much. Probably cried and didn't want to do it, but she kept on taking me, and I fell in love with the sport. You know what I mean? Ken Shurto is probably one of my biggest mentors of the sport. Growing up in the Mifflin County area, we had a lot of resources, right? Penn State was in our backyard, so like NLWC. Ken Shurto had his home training center right there, so we were able to the dedicated kids, sometimes we would leave our practices and go over to his practices after our practices in junior high or high school. Trent Heidley, I mean, Ken was one of his biggest influences too. Like Trent went to his home training center. I was a few years older than Trent, so I mean, I don't know exactly what he did, but I mean, just that there were a lot of good wrestlers that came out of Mifflin County. I mean, you got
Let
the
me ask you a
Bedley
question. For those that don't know Ken, what was his credentials and I know that he had ran a wrestling camp. Like,
Yeah.
what made Ken Ken?
So Ken, he was a multiple-time state champ from West Virginia. He was a couple-time All-American for Penn State. He made the world team, Olympic team for Team USA. He grew his camps. Like my summers when I was in college, I used to go and counsel at his camps. He
I went
just
with you.
grew. Yeah, he grew a good business, a good camp. He had a way of like just getting kids to buy in and the mentality of like mental toughness and training hard and what it takes to be great. You know, Ken was an inspiration, you know, to the sport and still is today.
For decades.
Yeah. So yeah, it was good. But
Well, real
back
quick, I'm
to
going to interrupt you, Ty. I'm so
yeah,
sorry. For those of you that are wrestling fans who are listening, the first time that I went with Ty, because I'm from relatively, we're close enough, like where I grew up, close enough to where Ty's at.
sure.
I went to cancel, and you told me one time, I was like, hey, check out this freshman over here. It's like, you don't know him yet, you're going to know him. And that was Zane Rutherford.
Yeah.
It was in his own remark, like
Yeah, man.
Zane's, I
Dude.
was his, Ty and I were counselors at this camp watching this guy.
Allentown camp.
We knew he was going to be something.
Yeah. Zane,
And what did
we
Zane
were
do? He's one of the best wrestlers in college history ever at any weight
I
class at
know.
any period of time.
It's crazy, right? And a lot of kids came up through Ken's camp and have been successful. Ken has just had a way of, you know, making kids great, believing in themselves. He preaches the right things. He gets kids to do the right things, and you know, I believed in him since I've been 5 years old, and I continued to go with Ken since I was a senior in high school. Yeah, Ken 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 was a blessing. Ken did a lot for me, did a lot for my family. You know, we've known him a long time. I actually had the honor to I got engaged like back with Ken, you know, we hooked up again. I worked his camp actually this summer. I took my son there. My son's 6, so you know,
He's plenty old enough. You're 5. He's 6.
I mean,
Get him in
yeah, but
there.
Ken was like, "Hey," he's like, "Hey, like, come work my camp. Bring your son," you know. And my son had a blast. He loved it. Ken brings in awesome technicians. He brings in the best, man. Like Zane was at his camp this summer, so the
What are
kids
some of
that
the things, Ty, that you learned from Ken in his camps as you as a coach, as an adult?
I'd say just staying true to who you are, dedication, what it takes to be a champion, be a scholar athlete, not a dumb jock. That was one of the main things that always stuck in my mind. One of the sayings that he actually has it on the back of a T-shirt. One thing that he does at his camps is he'll have kids like write essays, like how they grow in wrestling and stuff, and you know they have to write an essay and then turn it in, and then he'll read them all, and you know he preaches like it's wrestling too, but you know being smart off the mat, not just on the mat. So Ken's great. He's a great coach. He's a great mentor. He's a awesome knowledge of the sport. He's competed at all the levels in the world, nationally, and I mean, I'm honored to know him and a good friend. We text here and there almost like every week now, and it's great. It's awesome.
S- So we're gonna jump in the story. So you got hooked up with him at 5, but you also had a unique experience growing up where underneath your own roof you had a champion, your stepfather, Joe.
Yeah, it
So what was it like growing up with father who was a state champion and also your coach?
was tough. Um,
I bet.
it was tough.
My dad played football and that was tough enough. I can't imagine.
Yeah, it was tough, man. Joe Dalbert was, man, I think that if it wasn't for Joe, I don't know if I would have got to the level that I was at. You know, he definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone. There were times where I was running to school in the morning and he would follow me in the wood truck from where we lived. Like, it was exactly 3 miles to Indian Valley High School. And I'd wake up in the morning and I'd throw my school bag and stuff in the old wood truck and I'd take off, right? And he'd just follow me to school and then I'd shower and I'd go to class and then we'd have practice after school. You know, he had a way he had a way of getting in my head, he had a way of, like, getting in my head mentally. Um, he taught me that wrestling wasn't just training in the mat room, right? It wasn't just it was training mentally as well. Joe was definitely a big influence on my high school and college career, and in my life now today. Yeah, it was awesome.
What about you said that he would get in your head. I try to explain this to people in marketing and business that you can't have too much empathy for your customer. You can't have too much empathy for the people you're talking to. When you live with someone that's your coach, they know you better. I mean, there's
Yeah,
no
yeah,
way he couldn't know you better than almost anyone.
yeah.
But what did that do for you psychologically, knowing that the person that knows you as well as anyone could is also trying to make you the best that you could be? What lessons did you learn from that type of like intimate relationship with a coach? Because like plenty of people have coaches, not plenty of people live with their coach.
Yeah. That's a hard question, man. I mean, I don't know if I don't really know if I can give a good answer to that. I
You
think
can
just
tell me a
one thing.
story. You just like you told me a good story. If there's any
Yeah, just
stories,
just one thing I knew. Like he knew me, right? So like there was no way out, basically. So like he knew me, and I knew he knew best, right? So
a lot of trust.
I trusted him. I trusted everything he said, even about my diet, like, like as far as my weight and everything, like, high school, right? You're not really cutting weight the right way and stuff. And he would just kind of make me do things the right way, especially like my senior year. And it paid off, and just doing the right things and listening to him and embracing the grind and just the process, following the process, of the whole entire year, and trusting in my coach, who is my stepdad, and having that relationship. It just all kind of came together then. And I I was fortunate. Like, I was lucky to have Joe. Joe was awesome. It's hard to think back on the little details now, but in my life, I've learned a lot that he's taught me. It's
What has he
just
taught you about fatherhood? Because now we're both
yeah.
fathers now. When we met, being a dad was the furthest thing from my mind at the time. When we were in school and we are
Yeah,
just focused on wrestling in class and
and
any other extracurriculars. But now that we're fathers, like what are some of the lessons that your wrestling coaches have taught you? And not just about being a coach, right? Because you are dedicated, committed to being a coach, but you're also dedicated,
yeah,
committed father. And I think life outside the mat, there's so many parallels. Like if I didn't have wrestling as a frame of reference, I don't know if I would have learned half the stuff I learned.
yeah. I mean, wrestling's definitely, man. Excuse me, big sip of water.
Good.
Wrestling's definitely, it instills a lot in you, right? Like, it teaches a lot of life lessons, dedication, stuff like that, commitment. But I think Joe definitely taught me time, right? Like, time is sensitive. It's fortunate. We're fortunate to have the time, on this earth, that with the people we get to spend it with. So don't
There
take
is
it
no
for granted.
tomorrow. There is
Don't
no
take it for
tomorrow.
granted. Appreciate it. So I was thankful to have like that time. And here's a kind of a story that I can tell that, so like, this is crazy. It's just in my mind, but one of the best times, well, not the best times, but one of the times that I remember, Joe, man, he would always wake me up like real early, in the morning, like even on the weekends, like on a Saturday, Sunday, like wake me up early. And I'm just like, man, why is he waking me up early? And he'd get me up out of bed, say, come on. We get in the wood truck and we go up to the mountain. We split wood
Like Rocky. Like
every
Rocky Balboa.
Saturday, every Saturday, and every Sunday before church, right? Because we go to church on Sundays. And this was early. This was like 5, 6. But we'd split wood,
How old were you?
and I was probably like sophomore, junior, senior in high school, didn't want to do it, wanted to sleep in, right? Lazy, trying to be lazy, right? I'm working, going to school, working hard. He's making my butt run to freaking school and stuff. And I'm like, man, why you get me up on these weekends for to split wood? But when we would split wood, sometimes like you take that break, right? And then we'd sit on the tailgate, and we would just talk, and we would have conversations. And those conversations meant the most to me. They they were heartfelt conversations, they were good conversations, they were heart-to-heart conversations, father-to-son conversations, even though I wasn't his son, he I was his son, but blood, right? I mean,
Biologically, no, but
but
for
he
all
was
intents and purposes, yes.
talking to me like, man, he definitely, made a huge impact on my life as a father today, how I father figure my kids.
Well, you have a stepson, and you probably have a great example of how to navigate that relationship that many other people in your situation may not
Yes.
have.
Yeah, so
And and
when I
yours and
met
your son's going and wrestling too.
yeah, I mean, I hope.
Does he know that he will be going running to school with a wood truck following him, or is that to be determined?
That's to that's to be determined. My son, man, he tells me that he's not wrestling this and that. I don't know. That's a hurdle to get over. Yeah, I think he just sees how much I love it. Um, he loves coming into the room with the high school kids and all that.
Ty, if
It's
I can tell
time,
you,
man. It's time. It's he'll get it.
I'm gonna confess to you, and maybe it's a good thing I'm doing, maybe it's not, but I've got a 3-year-old daughter, and women's wrestling is the fastest growing high school
Yeah,
sport. I have her watching Helen Marula's highlight videos on the
yeah,
weekends. I have
yeah,
her,
man.
I have her hand fighting,
Yeah,
whatever I can do to try, just gently nudge her. It's like, we'll
yeah.
play
I mean,
games. I'll play games where I'll head tap. Oh, I got your leg. Oh, I got your leg. She
that's
thinks
like
I'm playing. I'm like, oh, we're doing drills.
now we're on this. Like it's like you
Your
know,
daughter's a little young. She's
dude, my daughter goes like she goes wrestle. She put her on, she'll go wrestle, and Asher and her will wrestle in the living room and stuff. It's awesome. I mean, like this is the other thing, like the side of it, like there's a lot of these elementary parents are crazy, man. It's like there's a lot of elementary parents that post like, oh, my kid went 112 and whatever this year and won this, won that. It's like, dude, like relax, like I feel like in elementary school, like you just need to teach your son to just love it, have fun, love it, no matter what, even if he's going out there, rolling over, flipping around, doing stuff wrong, like they're young, like they're gonna learn eventually.
stay in it. Just don't quit.
Stay in it. Don't quit. Have fun. Having fun is like the biggest thing. And like if my son, like, I hope he wrestles. I would love that. But if he doesn't want to this year, I mean, struggling with that right now. Like, do I push him? That's a father thing. Like, do I make you?
You're not
And
alone.
some of that I think might be personal in my heart as far as like being a head coach, and then it might take up more of my time.
But I'm going to pause you right there. Ty, one of the things I know about you is you lead by example, right? So whether he wrestles or he plays football or he does art or music or whatever it is,
Yeah,
whatever it is, I'm not going to say what it is. As long as he falls in love with the process and he takes it seriously and he does whatever the equivalent would be of running to school with a wood truck behind you, you're probably
yeah.
going to be pretty darn good at it.
Yeah, I hope, man. I mean, yeah, it's just I just want him to do it and have fun. Go out, get your hand raised. If you lose, it's okay. Your elementary school. I feel like here's my process is like my thought is as far as it goes. Like you're in elementary school, right? You need to learn to love it. You gotta as a parent and as a coach, you gotta just keep the kids involved and let them have fun, let them learn to love it, enjoy the process, just learn a little technique, stuff like that. And then when you get into junior high, it's like, okay, we're getting a little more serious, but still having fun, right? Some of the best wrestlers started in junior high. I mean,
I know a
I
handful.
think
I can name a couple.
Ken Shurto, I think he started when he was in sixth, seventh, eighth grade, maybe if I'm correct. I could be wrong. I'm not sure, but some of the best wrestlers, Jordan Burroughs, maybe started a little late. And he's a Olympic champ, right?
One
I
of the
mean,
best to
holy
ever
cow.
do it.
So it's like get them into junior high, you're still learning, you're learning. And then if you learn to love that process when you're a freshman, you're like, okay, so you're here now, right? So you learn to love the process. Now it's time to dedicate yourself. Are you willing to dedicate yourself to be the best? Like what are you willing to do to, be the best. So it's like doing the extra work,
That applies to wrestling, that applies to life.
everything.
That's not just
So
one though.
and like, I mean, nowadays, it's like you gotta do the extra, right? Like, wrestling's evolving, like, you gotta go like, clubs and stuff like that, and you gotta evolve, and you gotta learn, and you gotta
Well,
just love it, but that's the thing, like, if you learn to love this process, and you learn to love to come to practice, like, you can't come to practice and be like, "Man, I don't wanna be here," right? Like,
Ty,
that's not
I wanna make a comment about that because it applies to so much more than wrestling. You know that today in 2025, it's almost more common for people to have a side hustle on top of their full-time job than not.
Yeah,
So, like, your wife, for example, we'll get into I definitely wanna get into the origin story of the family, but your wife's a
okay.
kindergarten teacher, and she
Yeah,
also is a business owner.
man.
You have a full-time job with, is it correction officer?
Yeah, so I
And
started
you're a coach. Like,
yeah.
it's yeah, everyone has 24 hours in a day. One of your biggest skills is time management.
Yeah, time management is man, and I'll be honest, we're not always the best at managing our time, but we get through it. We do it somehow. It works out, but time management's key, man. I mean, that's big, right? So,
Everyone's got 24 hours. That's the only equalizer. It's like how you spend it.
yeah,
So what are your thoughts on time management? I feel like is not the right word I want to go, but winning the day. Like what does a one day look like in your mind? For you as a coach, for you as an individual, and then for your wrestlers, for the people you help. Like how could they win the day? What does winning the
man.
day look like? I think it's a really important thing because you can look at the end result, right? We could talk about Ken Shurto and Zane and you and your career, and you've won. You've got a large evidence of success, but it starts with your daily habits, right? Embracing the grind, embracing the process. What does that
Yeah.
tactically look like?
I think it's different for everyone, man. I just think being in a conscious mind state, right? Doing the right things that you think you should be doing. I don't know. That's a good question. Winning the day. I mean, I think at the end of the day, like winning the day, just being thankful for the people around you, being grateful for everything that you have. Making the most of every opportunity that you've had that day, whether it is like, I don't know, everyone's day is gonna be different. I mean, it's just winning the day is man.
Well, I think you said a lot about it too. It's like doing the best, leaving it all out there, doing the best you can for that day, because not everyone's going to have the best day ever. But if you're
Yeah.
having a bad day and you still show up and you put the work in, that's winning the day, right?
Yeah, but what I mean, whether it's on the mat or not, it's just being a good person, right? Being a good mentor, being a good person, being a good student athlete, being a good student in the school, doing the right things, right? Like that's winning the day. It's winning the day can go many ways, but I feel like it's just you gotta just seize the day, right? Like embrace it, embrace every day, take every day. Don't take every day for granted. Like take it as it might be your last day. I mean, because we're not guaranteed every day. So I feel like it's just we're be grateful for your purpose. Like have purpose, be purposeful, be intentful, do everything with intent. Yeah, just be thankful for what you have and do the best that you can to be successful in whatever you're led, whatever that may be. I feel
One of
like
the one of the things that you've talked about before and that we've talked about is getting out of your comfort zone. And we've talked about purpose and passion. And it's a shame that there's some people, for better or worse, that grow up, they never really know what they're called to do. They don't really like that. They don't have something they fall in love with doing. My question to you is, what are some things or stories you've had in your life that have been evidence of you getting out of your comfort zone? And what is the result of getting out of your comfort zone?
man, we're getting deep now, huh?
That's what we're here for.
Man, we'll talk about getting out of our comfort zone. I mean, it's man, I've been out of my comfort zone a lot lately. I think that rephrase the question one more time for me.
Can you give an example of a time, a story that you've been out of your comfort zone and say the positive benefit of like, boy, I'm glad I did that, even though I was scared. Clint Eastwood, famous Western actor, has said that courage is not, i- is only but being scared to death, but saddling up and doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And I think Clint's definition of courage is getting out of your comfort zone. So, can you give me some examples of why it's important for a young person, an older person,
Yeah.
to just get, in spite of their feelings of fear, piling up and just getting after it?
Yeah, so, like, that's one of the big things that I mean, that's my go-to thing with my athletes, right? Hashtag push past your comfort zone, and honestly, when I got this head position, I thought about, like, what is something that we can go by, you know? Like, what do I gotta do? And the first and I on like, you can get on Flow Wrestling, right, and look up E-Town Workout, right? You ever watch that?
No.
Remember when Flow Wrestling came into our wrestling room and recorded our workout?
Now that you mention it, I do.
Yeah, so and I remember at the end of that workout, Coach Walker, he says, "Push past your comfort zone." And he said that, and that's stuck with me, and I don't know why. Walker always had a big impact on me, you know, like, that was the only Division III school I, visited. I fell in love with it, fell in love with Coach Walker. He was an awesome mentor, he was great with my parents, and I just remember him always saying, "Push past your comfort zone." And when I got this head job, I was like, "Push past your comfort zone." And I immediately got on this like banner website, and I'm like, got like this huge banner, man. And I got it made, "Push past your comfort zone." It hangs in our room. And I'm constantly telling kids like push past their comfort zone, push past their comfort zone. And it's like when you get uncomfortable, that's where you grow, right? So in anything, in wrestling, in life, in faith,
Yeah, especially there.
you know, like when you get uncomfortable, like, and you push past that, you're going to grow. So, I mean, for me personally, recently, you know, I've gotten out of my comfort zone, definitely in my faith. I've grown closer in my faith, closer to Jesus Christ. It was definitely out of my comfort zone. I've always been a believer, but recently, you know, I've definitely grown to actually know like who God is, right? And it's been an impactful and very important thing in my life. I'm grateful for it. I've definitely got out of my comfort zone for that. But it's made me grow as a coach, as a father. I made it the center of my household for my children, for my wife. And it's just I think it's very important. And I'm trying to bring that into our program. You know, not pushing on kids, but getting involved with the FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and, you know, getting kids to grow closer to the Lord, but just, you know, just grow as people, you know, not only on the mat. Like, yeah, our program, we want to be successful on the mat, right? Like, we want to be successful on the mat. We want to have state place winners and stuff. But at the end of the day,
You want to be good citizens. You want to be good
if
fathers. You want to be good
yeah,
husbands.
if I'm making kids grow like in the community or like being good people and they're getting good grades and they leave our program after 4 years and you know they can look back and be like, man, like Coach Ty was definitely a big impact on my life. That's important to me too.
Man, I got a story for you that coincides with that train of thought. I coached high school a little bit, but before I became a father and this and that, and before I was an entrepreneur. And my favorite athlete that I ever coached, and I'm gonna just say that I had a favorite because of this story. He was a guy that JV lost all the time. He had a traumatic brain injury, he almost died as a kid. Serious injury he had, and
Yeah.
tough family life. But boy, did he just soak up all the time spent, in the practice. Everything I said, he was just fully paying attention. And that guy was ADHD to the max. Couldn't pay attention to anything. But we were in that room on the mat, he paid attention. And in a year, he went from not being able to fight his way out of a wet paper bag to a 500 record. And then a year after
Yeah.
that, he joined the military, which he wouldn't have been able to do. Got his grades in order, got his life in order, stopped doing silly things, started doing serious things. And he messaged me one time. He's like, I got a girlfriend, I got a job, I got a car. He just said, thank you. And I was like, "Thank me? What do you mean, thank me? Like, I was
Yeah,
your wrestling coach." And he's like, "Man, if it wasn't for wrestling, I wouldn't have been able to do I'll probably still working at Pizza Hut." Nothing against
yeah,
Pizza Hut, but if your dreams are bigger, and as a coach, I can help one person to achieve above what they're currently at.
yeah,
I love those stories, helping people, like,
dude.
self-actualize, you know what I mean? Hitting their goals. Whether that's just, like,
Yeah, man,
not
I
feeling
mean,
like a piece of crap, not feeling like a loser, but feeling like a winner because 'cause they're
dude,
doing the right thing.
wrestling's tough, right? Like, wrestling's tough, it's hard, it teaches you a lot of dedication, commitment, mental toughness, suffering, going through workouts, it just sometimes you're like, "Oh, man, this sucks," right? But I think wrestling's tough, but, I mean, you and I can both attest, life's a little tougher. Life's tough. So, I think it's kind of bullcrap when people are like, "Man, wrestling's the toughest thing you'll ever do." Blah blah blah. But I don't think that's true. I think wrestling physically, like I love wrestling. Like I'm so passionate about it. Like it's tough. It is. I
Let me
will
ask you,
contest
Ty.
it's the toughest sport ever, right? But life in general is tougher. I think if you wrestle, you will succeed in life because you've been through that, wrestling's tough. Life's tougher, man. Like
You've
life
cut
is
weight.
tough.
You've had to cut weight. You've had to compete on big stages.
And
But
yeah.
but until recently, have you been father of a newborn child, and you've had to lose sleep and clean up literal human
Man,
feces.
talk about pushing past your comfort zone.
That I was gonna say, and I was is a question and a statement. For my personal journey, becoming a father was the single push past your comfort zone moment where I was like, well,
Yeah.
no going back. Like, child's born. Like, here we are.
Yeah.
You got to do it. And
Yeah, you gotta. There's no like quitting or not doing it or, you're all in.
And I think that, there's so many men in the world that have been fathers. There's less men that have been good fathers. I would say that of the formative experience I've had growing up, wrestling has been one of the most essential for forming how I am a father because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you don't get to sleep tonight because your kid's always waking up and your wife, this and that. Well, good thing I
It's
learned how to
tough.
cut,
Push
learn,
past
good,
it.
good thing I
Yeah.
learned how to cut weight because, like,
Yeah. And
even though
man, I'm grateful for it. It's awesome, right? I mean, but being a father is it's great. It's my son's 6, my daughter's year and a half, and man, honestly, like if it wasn't for wrestling, I don't think I'd probably be in the position I am right now. Taught me a lot to just hey, when times are tough, man, or whatever, there ain't no backing down. But yeah, but when you look at it and when you look at it from our aspect, it's just a sport, right? It's just something we enjoy to doing. It's extracurricular. It's simple.
there's
Not to
rules,
make that sound like
there's
simple, but
rules.
because wrestling's tough, there's rules. It's simple. It's a sport, you know. At the end of the day, it's just wrestling, and that's how I try to put it to my athletes. I actually explained this to one of our kids the other day in the mat room. He was trying to talk about his confidence and stuff like that, and I was like, "Hey, buddy, like it's just wrestling, man. Like at the end of the day, like you're still who you are, right? Like." You wake up in the morning, the sun comes up, like you're just wrestling. Like it doesn't define who you are really. It's just something that you love and you want to do and you want to succeed at. So do everything you can to succeed at it. But at the end of the day, if you don't, like, you're still gonna be who you are. I mean,
Everybody
like,
loses. Everybody loses.
yeah, yeah,
Everybody loses.
wins and losses, like, and honestly, like the losses, you learn more from, right? You learn more from losing than winning.
I
So
mean, one of the things that I had to learn, Ty, you'll appreciate this, is if you're winning too much in business, this could be for sales. If your close rate, if you get too many clients, right? So if you're a salesperson, close rate means how many people you talk to that sign the contract. If it's too high, you're either not talking to enough people, your prices are too low, so you're undervaluing what you do, or you're just not applying yourself to your full potential. Like
yeah,
in baseball, right? You have a brother who's a baseball player, I know, or he was. Baseball, if you hit 4 out of 10, you get on bat, you're a Hall of Famer. You're the best. You're the best to ever do it. And I think wrestlers could take a little bit of luck from that too. It's like, man, you're telling me that I'm closing too many people and I'm doing it wrong, and I'm here to say yes. You got to push past your comfort zone. You got to raise your prices. You got to talk to more people. You got to like the most helpful frame for me is if I hear no 100 times in sales, or 99 times in sales, then the 100th one will be a yes to get me where I want to be in my goal. I'm gonna
Yeah,
fail. I'm gonna hit that 99 no's as quickly as possible. I'm gonna fail as quickly as possible. It applies
yeah,
to business, applies to wrestling. What are your thoughts on failing and not failing, but losing? Because it's not failing; it's part of winning. And I will tell a quick story where, for those that are not diehard Pennsylvania wrestling fans during the era we were in, you had arguably he was the number one guy in the nation that you ran in everywhere,
yeah,
right? And your senior year, you wrestled him what, 8 times, 7 times?
yeah.
What did that teach you? Wrestling the number one guy in the nation everywhere.
I mean, at the time in high school, I can't at the time in high school, at the when I was in high school at that time, I didn't think it taught me anything. It was just like, man, like,
This
I
stinks.
don't can't beat this dude. You know what I mean? I don't know. I
But looking back
losing
is different.
look at looking back, man, like it's like I think it taught me to believe in myself a little more. You know what I mean? I'll be completely honest with you, man. Andrew Alton was a stud, right? I'll call it out. That's who it was. I lost to him 7, 8 times my senior year, even my junior year. Never won a district regional title, made it to finals every year, and I hit him. Is what it is. Couldn't
Hey,
beat him. At that time, I was like, I can't beat him. And every time I went out to wrestle him, I think I went out with a mentality like, all right, I'm taking second, right? So I think it now as a coach, it's like I tell these kids, I'm like, man, like, God created us all the same, right? You're stepping out, you're towing a line with someone that weighs just as much as you. You got to want it. You got to believe in yourself. You got to train your mind to believe in yourself. And that's one thing as a coach that I try to do now, is just like believe in yourself, man. Like, don't sell yourself short. You can't go out on the mat beat already before it, right? You can't. If you go out beat, you're beat, right? So
what you
it's a lot
believe
of
up
just
here.
trying. Yeah, it's a lot of wrestling's a lot of it's a lot of mentality. Like, yeah, you got to get in shape and stuff. You got to drill your technique over and over. One thing that actually sticks in my mind right now is actually from Ken Shurto. He's like, you can drill a move so many times that nobody can stop it, right? And
Jordan
and I
Burroughs.
believe and I believe, yeah, blast double, right? And I believe that shoot Trent Heidley underhook, you know?
Oh
Um
yeah.
yeah, he's freaking he destroyed anyone with it. Came back
Yeah.
from an 8-0 loss. It's amazing. Like, it's
Unbelievable.
amazing. But one thing though that those two guys believed, they believed that they could beat anyone, anybody. If you look back on Flow, like some of the things Trent said, he was like, he said a prayer like during his match. He was like, just give me one more chance. He believed. He believed in himself during that match. Like, he believed he could come back and he did. So I think it's just like go out on the mat every time, believe in yourself, give your all 100%. And if you fall short, it's okay. Like, as long as you gave 100% and you believe in yourself, at the end of the day, you gave it all. Don't go out there thinking that you're going to lose because you're going to lose.
If you
And I
believe it,
think I, w-
then you
and
probably
I
will
think,
lose.
yeah, and I think I was maybe a little bit of a victim to that, and I'll admit it, but it makes me a better coach because I can, I can realize that now and I can teach it, but I see, I battled my way. I beat everyone. Like, I was good, right? I knew I could beat anyone else. And then when I got to the finals, Andrew, and I'm gonna try. I'm gonna keep it close. And I had some close matches with them. I think I had some like 8-5 matches and stuff like that. And they were I love the Altons, man. They're good dudes. We even hung out after, he Ryder, right? Alton helped at Ryder a little bit. Nick Bellion, he went to my high school. He's the head associate coach at Ryder. I'm close with Ryder. I go down there, I'd see those guys and we'd hang out and we're like buds, right? But competitively, I just think that like I didn't have that mental like mental, like, drive to be like, "Oh, I'm going out there, I'm beating you," right?
But the thing about being a
So
coach, I think that's important versus being a competitor, and this is what I wanna talk to, is I have already and I haven't coached nearly as much as you. I have already done better as a coach than I have as a competitor because I've been able to reflect on the lessons and well, I call them lessons. I don't think they're losses. I mean, yeah, they're on my record. I
they're
didn't win.
lessons, yeah,
I didn't win the match, but I took the mental like, oh, this is why this happened, and I've been able to help people shortcut their progression by what I learned. And my thing is, and the reason I bring that up at all in the context is because when you go to the competitive level in sports and in life and in business at the highest level, it's like you should like everyone that plays the game long enough does lose. And when you're at the highest level, you have a different frame of perspective. Like you can't be you wouldn't be who you are if you didn't compete against the best people in the country. Like
right.
period. And that's a different set of skills. So, what are some of the things, knowing what you know now, competing the way you did, both in college, high school, whatever level, that you can take back as a coach and speak into these people that you've been there, and you can say, and you've already mentioned it, like, hey, you gotta believe first. Everyone, everyone can beat everyone, but like, my question for you is, what do you take from your competitive degree and what have you changed as a coach? Like, what are the biggest lessons from a competitor to a coach that you've seen? And if it's too open ended, my apologies.
Nah, I mean, I'm just trying to really think about this. It's a tough question. I mean, I would honestly, Ross, I would say it's the mental aspect of it all. I think it is for real. Just like trying to approach these kids like is like, there were some times as a competitor when I would like go through like hard practices and I would not like give my 100% right, or I would like be like, man, this practice stinks. Like, I don't want to be here. Like, this is awful, right? When you're going through like some tough stuff and you're like, the sprints, right? You're already tired from live wrestling and you're like, man, like, we got to do sprints and stuff at the end or whatever. And you're like dogging it and all that, like, I think as a coach now, like looking back, I'm like, man, like, I'm just trying to teach these guys, like these kids, right? You're trying to teach kids to like love it. Like you don't want to come to practice and dread it, right? Like you want to come to practice and love it. Like you need to learn to like love it. And when you learn to love that process and come to practice and you just want to be there,
You can do anything.
that is where you're going to go from here to here. And I
Mhm.
truly believe that. Like if you're coming to practice, you're like, man, I don't want to be here. I had a long day of school. Like, and I get that. Like, not every day is going to be like the 100. You want everyone to give 100% every day, right? But the 100% every day is not going to be the same because everyone's gonna have longer days, stuff like that. Body might be tired, this and that, but you need to come and you need to give that 100%, and you need to try, and you just need to love to be there, and you need to embrace it, and just come into practice and like, I love this. Like, I want to grow. Like, I want to get better and have the mindset of getting better. And I think that's where like the separation is. Like, I
Nate
truly
Diaz
believe that.
has a quote that says, and I'm going to butcher the paraphrasing, but it says, you have to love something so much that you hate it. And you have to hate something so much that you love it. And that's when you get to the highest level.
So that just goes to say, like, everyone hates being tired. Who likes to be tired? Who
Fatigue makes cowards out of us all.
it sucks. And like I think like I don't know, I might sound real weird right now and crazy, but I love like getting tired and putting myself through pain now. Like I'm 34 years old, but like I make sure I don't know. I make a commitment to working out, right? You know what I mean? And I'll push myself to I love getting tired and I always say like if I can't wrestle with these guys, like it'll like I love getting on the mat still. I love getting tired. Like I go on runs and stuff like that. And it's just like I love that now. But like I
You
mean,
didn't used to love it.
nah, man. I mean, it's like
You
you know
learned to
what I
love
mean?
it. You
Like,
learned to
yeah,
love it
you
over
learn,
time.
I guess, but it's like it's a process, right? As a coach, like I'm trying to get you try to get these kids, to learn to love to compete. Like, don't shy from competition, thrive from it. Love to compete. Like, go out there and compete. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, just back from what I was saying.
I'm gonna tell you a story, Ty, that maybe only you will laugh at because most people listening may not understand. But it's my younger brother Cody. You met him before.
Yeah.
He might have won 30% of the matches when he was in high school. He was a good guy. He's more of a scholar athlete. He was better at school.
Mm,
But when I was going back to the room and when I would go back into coach and help him, every time I was in his corner, he would get so stressed out by me being there. He would just freeze up. There was a tournament that I wasn't there, and he was against a guy named Ian Gimbar, and Cody pinned him. That guy had 1 or 2 losses in his whole senior year, and my brother pinned him. And my brother, like maybe was 500 that year. He got third at states,
dang.
and I wasn't there. And you know why? Because he's like he didn't care. He did not
Yeah.
have stress. He just went out there and did his thing, and he
Yeah.
pinned him. And my point
Dang.
is like if my brother who wins 30% of the time could pin a bronze medalist in the toughest state, he's a D1 wrestler, really good wrestler, objectively good
Yeah.
wrestler. I'm
Yeah.
just telling that story to say, like, any given Sunday, you know what I mean? Like, hey, go out there with no fear.
Yeah, man.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
You met him.
Crazy.
He ain't getting a third state medal, but on that day, on that one given when that whistle blew, he did.
It's
So
awesome, man.
I'm gonna tie this back. I have a section of the show, Ty, that I did not share with you, but I can't wait. And it's called Leave a Question, Ask a Question. All right. And every time I do this, it further solidifies my faith in God. Because I feel like the last person who had no idea who you were, didn't know I was interviewing you, has a question for you. And then you get to ask a
Okay.
question for the next person that's a guest on my show.
Wait, so say this one more time. Sorry.
So it's leave a question, ask a question. The last guest I had has a question for you. And then you have
Okay.
the opportunity to ask an anonymous next guest a question from you. The
Man,
question from Michael Waves, who
Michael
is
Waves.
Michael Waves is
Yeah.
you know who that is?
Isn't he like a music artist or something?
Yeah, dude. I'm stoked you know him. Michael Waves, aka Jordan Blyer, also from South Lebanon. He has a
Okay.
question for you specifically,
Okay.
and I love this for you. What's your biggest passion, and how did you know it was your biggest passion?
Biggest passion.
We've been talking a lot about passions.
Yeah. I mean, man,
We had to pick one. That's the caveat.
just one passion. All right. If I just suddenly have to pick, like right now, like
On the spot.
my passion right now is Jesus Christ.
How'd you know? How did you know it was your biggest passion?
Man, I just felt like I had a calling, man. My wife and I recently got involved like with our church that we met at, and it just kind of went from there. Got involved in a lot with the church, and I've grown in the church and with my wife too. I mean that's just something that we've grown
Together.
together with and with our kids. But that has been my biggest passion. I always say that it's funny, but like I put this in perspective to people like this. Like, it took me 34 years. I've been wrestling with God for 34 years, and I finally have let him pin me, right? So it's like, yeah,
You've
it's
surrendered. So the right
yeah, you never let anyone pin you in wrestling, but that's probably my biggest passion in my heart right now is Jesus Christ. I'm growing to know him more. I'm not perfect. I don't know everything. I sin every day, but we all fall short of the glory of God, right? We're all sinners, and that's the greatest thing for repentance, right? I just think that
sanctification, getting 1% better
yeah.
every day.
Yeah, so I'm grateful for that. But yeah, that's probably my biggest passion right now is him. And I feel like we're all called to be disciples of his word and spread his word and evangelize. and spread the gospel. And I've been trying to grow in the faith, and I'm committed to a small group right now, and I'm learning and I'm trying, and I'm grateful to grow closer to the Lord and hopefully spread the word throughout Midwest School District and be a better faithful father figure to my family and my wife, and just a Christ-centered home, and I'm just grateful for that. Yes, sir.
What question do you have for the next guest, Ty, without knowing who they are?
Man, that is a hard
That might be
question.
a tougher question.
Yeah. I mean, for the next guest, I would say pass it on, man. Like, what's their passion, right? Pass it on to the next one.
What's their biggest passion? Right on.
Yeah.
Well, Ty, this next question will not be nearly as deep as the few that we just touched on.
I
Where can
love the deep
people,
ones.
we'll have you on the show again. It's been an absolute joy. Where can people find you, support what you've got going on with wrestling, with life? How can people get in touch? This is your time to plug away.
Yeah, I would say our social media, we have a Mustang Varsity Wrestling social media page on Facebook, Instagram. It's Mustang Varsity Wrestling. We're on Facebook, Instagram. That's about it, man. I mean, we post plenty of stuff on there about our clinics, our fundraisers. We're about to send out sponsorship paperwork. Yeah, that's our social media aspect, to get a hold of us and follow us on there. But through you, maybe if you share this podcast, that would be awesome.
Reach out to Ty Boyer, or is it By Toyer on,
Yeah, it's by Toyer. Yeah, according to where I work, I keep
according
it
to where
by
you work?
Toyer. Yeah,
Didn't mean I can edit that out if you need me to, but
no,
Mustang Varsity Wrestling.
yes, sir.
Everyone listening, I hope that we fulfilled our promise of having valuable brainstorms to answer life, liberty, and pursuit of property. We talked about the things that matter today. And my only ask, I don't run ads in the show. I don't plan to. But my only ask is if you found this conversation valuable, to share it with a friend so that it can benefit them as well. Until next time, everyone, be well. And to you, Ty, thank you.
Thank you.